We'll go ahead and try to get in here. Right now she's casually threatening 13 damage because of the overwhelm and the triggers. So this is going to be Frosty Fives, aka Sivir and Ashe, and I think we're going to keep the Temple and the Aphelios, but that actually might be risky, a bit of a slow start. Maybe Rockhopper helps out a little bit. We are piloting a list today that is, I think, unrefined for me personally. I've been aware that a version of this list exists, but I haven't looked up versions online or anything. It's something that I kind of wanted to toy around with myself quite a bit. And the concept is today Aphelios and Taliyah, because Taliyah really likes copying Temple. Yeah, let's take the free chip damage here. Also, Taliyah just really likes having a landmark in play for her ability to trigger, and so you kind of at times want the more permanent one. I think here we're going to be safe and take the Comet because we don't have a lot of like great direct removal options. But by getting Temple out, you can very often ensure that Taliyah is going to get a lot of action in a really good way. Well, that was nice for them now, wasn't it? I think this is probably Temple and blocking and praying. I think we want to get these temples going if we can, or at least one temple to start, because it looks like we're going to need the fangs sooner rather than later. I assume a troll chant is in the works, but I would be wrong. Okay. No troll chant, no frostbite effect, nothing, huh? They must have a really weird hand, or they just really wanted to save their combat tricks there. Kind of a shame that we don't have a great way to trigger the Nightfall here, or anything else going. So I guess we're gonna go with the fangs. And Serpent or Charger. Serpent or Charger. Serpent means that we get the lifesteal bonus on our fangs. I think I'm okay with that. Serpent also allows us to play our Aphelios here to get that value train going as well, which is pretty important. Aphelios has lost an awful lot of popularity since the nerf, but I think he's still strong. Crescendum in our current list only finds Rockhopper until we play the one of Messenger Sigil to make a bunch of dogs. Gravitum we can then phase to Crescendum though, and given this kind of spooky board for later, I think that's the way to go. And they have a culling strike. Fair enough. And so I think we'll just take the pass here before we do too much.
All the world on one arrow.
All right, the Ashe is, I don't know, is Ashe enough for us to deviate from our game plan? Because Ashe feels like the exact kind of card you want to hit with a Comet. But ideally, we would like to still get another trigger on this round, but I don't think that's necessarily a requirement. I think that this is just a Comet. I think we just accept that our Temple isn't going to trigger this round. Good attack order by putting this here. We could also just skip this, that doesn't necessarily feel great either. I think we block with the serpent because it's the same as if we charged it into something. This is just the real question, and I am not convinced at the moment that that is... Yeah. I mean, the issue here is troll chant, but there's not much we can really do about it. If they have the troll chant, they have it. They didn't have it the last time, but Elixir of Iron will also get the job done. That's fine, I suppose. We're just getting kind of low on units here because we have now drawn all of our temples. Well, we'll start with a temple, I suppose.
People to be.
Now we can gravitum something into a Fangs, which I guess is the way to go. Doesn't mean that we get the +1/+1 here though. This is so clunky. Like it actually feels legitimately bad. Given how clunky the hand is, so again, we could take the serpent if we want to trigger this Veiled Temple for the carryover. It would let us bank some spell mana, but I honestly legitimately feel like taking the dog here so that we can start cycling deeper is going to end up just being overall better for us. So that's what we're gonna do. We don't need the spell mana as bad. Well, guess we're gonna be doing this anyway. We'll just hourglass it up. It's a shame that we don't have the Taliyah for the combo. But we really need this to survive because, again, our board is not looking the greatest at the moment. Assessor just puts them way over the edge. Well, now we have the combo, but we're a mana short, which is a bit of a shame. But we will get mana back once we trigger these temples, so... Interesting. This is when I'm summoned. So now the question is, do we want to save our lifesteal unit and copy that, or do we just want to draw a bunch of cards with the dog, since they drew a bunch of cards? Because I honestly feel like drawing a bunch of cards actually might be better, as weird as that sounds. And so I think that's what we're gonna do here. So we're gonna use Taliyah to copy this. We'll get 2 dogs. When they come back next round, we'll draw 2 cards. The real combo with this list is you try to save a Taliyah with an hourglass, and then you can copy your saved Taliyah with another Taliyah, because the one becomes a statue, and then you end up with 3 Taliyahs, and it is just kind of silly. But this will do because we'll, again, get to draw a bunch of cards, and I think that's pretty important. And then we get the Preservarium so we can start digging even deeper. Now the downside here is we don't have a great way to save our Taliyah if they've got more elixirs, troll chants, etc. Let's go ahead and do this and cycle, see if we can find something slightly better here.
Many tribes under one banner.
Yeah, let's go with the Aphelios. I was trying to decide how I wanted to tackle this here as well, but I think Aphelios maybe into Infernum actually makes our Taliyah a little better suited for surviving a bunch here. And then let's go to Calibrum.
The moon grows in flame.
So that's only 2 of 4 there on the Aphelios, but we're slowly getting there. And so this is kind of what your finisher is supposed to look like. It's either Taliyah or things you get off of star shaping. Like this is your end game, if you will. You're just not supposed to have opposing boards that look like this, but that one Assessor was a wee bit brutal.
Like threading a needle. Throw another rock.
So we'll go ahead and try to get in here. Right now she's casually threatening 13 damage because of the overwhelm and the triggers.
Over there.
So we're fine with that. We're gonna always keep our 4 mana for the right now, because they probably have something nasty for us to deal with. This is problematic, but there's not a lot we can do about it. I think we just pass here. The other alternative would be to overwrite this to try to get a body there, because at this point that's kind of taking up space, and the card draw isn't a huge deal.
Face me. You're mine.
She's likely going to be leveling up, and there's not much we can do about that. So I think that goes there. I'm trying to, I think the problem right now is that something like a massive combat buff is a problem that I don't know how
All rocks erode eventually.
I don't know how we dodge it. So I think this is technically the way that we want to go. It's not necessarily a great combat round for us. But with a fistful of cards, there's not much else we can really do. I mean, we still survive here, so I think this is fine.
I whisper truth into lies.
Not happy about the LeBlanc leveling up because they're going to get the mirror image. All right, so we have to now make the decision whether or not we were going to want this Living Legends or the Immortal Fire. In this instance, I think it's the Fire, because unless they have something like direct damage or worse, like a Shunpo. Like a Shunpo just wins them the game. There's nothing we can do about that. Well, outside of the right. I guess I should say a successful Shunpo. Because we absolutely, we popped that right. But otherwise, we try to just connect for a victory this next round. The issue again is that they're going to have frostbite effects. So Immortal Fire has a strong chance of still being slowed down here. I mean, we just saw them use a harsh winds, for example, so you have to assume they have other effects. Speak of the devil. So we pass here. They might even try to culling strike this. No culling strike, that's fine. Again, we always want to keep this Riot negation available. All right, so the first time I would die, fully heal me instead. We're fine with that. We don't want to use it there. It just heals it. We're more worried about the second effect. See, this is the Taliyah that you want when this one is hourglassed. So I think you just have to go for the open attack. They have 3 cards in hand, so you pray. The temptation is to also swing with this because it might even take out another potential blocker. And we get the surrender anyway. Okay, so slow played. Sorry, I was trying to think this through, but that's game 1. Let's go play a second game and see how it goes. All right, Timo and Elise. Anytime you see Shadow Isles and Piltover and Zaun, there's the part of me that says, okay, this is probably just timelines. Oh, probably just timelines. So in that regard, we're going to keep our Riot negation. Ew, this actually got worse. Having Timo on turn 1 is super skillful. I wish I could do that. But yeah, I assume anytime I see this combination, doesn't mean that it is, but anytime I see it, I just assume it's timelines. And so you kind of have to keep the Riot negation, I think. But the rest of our hand is really clunky. That mulligan actively hurt us. Also, this tells me maybe it's not. Maybe this is just an aggro list. Yeah, that mulligan actually hurt us. The Taliyahs are not doing much. We'd love to get Temple up and running, but with 0 board here, I'm not sure that's feasible. I think that instead what you're looking for is maybe not even till turn 6. Let's go ahead and go with Fangs here. This is a bit of a tough call here as well. Crescent Strike does a lot for us, but this lets us dig deeper. As I'm trying to think about future turns, this next round could be Temple, either Equinox or Strike, and then Ancient Preparations to get the Temple up and running. Let's take the Crescent Strike here.
Safety disengaged.
I think that's
A ticket to the gun show.
probably correct. Again, our hand is a bit clunky, so we have to really play for the long game. Oh yeah, this might, well, I don't know. This could also be in timelines because it's got a nice play effect and then it just does its thing. The issue here is I think they're going to take an open attack on me. So I don't think the Temple play does what we want it to. Could also, I guess, just go down to 9. Let's do this instead, and then we'll just try to develop Temple and Pass and then figure it out next round. The Teemo is going to be a bit of a thorn in our side until we can either find a Hush or something to deal with it, but let's go ahead and get the Temple. This at least help offset some of our health losses. Because I'm coming around to the idea that this might just be some sort of aggressive list. There's another Doom Beast. And so our game plan then is to copy a Temple. They'll both be one of two.
Witness perfection, meatbags.
So we'll take this route. We already have the 1 hourglass. I think 2 is overkill. Let's take this because it might be able to find us something like Sisters to give us either more lifesteal or something in that vein. We would really love to gain some health this round, but I'm not sure that we can afford to. I think we just bank our spell mana.
System upgrade.
They'll never know what hit 'em.
Wow, open attack with just Teemo trying to double those puff caps, huh? Not a lot we can do, so it's just gonna be the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose.
Bask in her radiant blessing.
Take the meteor shower. They're gonna make another Doom Beast. Sure. All right, we'll go this route. This is going to be the thing that tries to keep us in the game, if anything does.
Push on without me.
Memories, yeah, they're going to try to get us down to 6, and then maybe they've got enough burn to do it. Well, actually, the ignition will make it 5. I mean, we have our Rite of Negation, so it's not necessarily a huge deal breaker for us. We really wish we could get one more. Yeah, there. They are doing it. This is a neat list. Actually, I think we're gonna do this. I don't think that the 2-2 is as relevant as this is. And since we're going into an open attack next round anyway, you just have to pray that they don't have that much first.
Even sand has its uses.
All right, back up to 15. We could have also popped that, I suppose. Would have been another like +3/+3. I just really like the idea of saving another burst spell in our hand for emergencies later. But the +3/+3 is pretty relevant in terms of health. And a surrender. Hooray, value! All right, let's go take a look at the list, and I'll talk through the deck inclusions. So today's list was me revisiting the old Aphelios Invoke value engine, but I wanted to pair it with Taliyah because one of the reasons that the Aphelios lists were so powerful was Temple. And Taliyah giving you a way to copy temples while also developing your board is great. You can do crazy combos with Taliyah and Hourglass where you Hourglass your Taliyah, and if you have a second one to copy the Hourglass, you end up with like 3 on the board, and then you can attack. And when you attack that way, your opponent actually can't play spells because there's too many things on the stack. Like, there's all sorts of neat things you can do with this list. So I wanted to try it out. I'm not convinced that it is a high power level list because I think there are other lists in the meta right now that just kind of beat up on it. I think that it's still going to struggle, for example, against Twisted Fate, but most decks do right now. But this is fun. And if you liked Aphelios before, I think that you can certainly still play him now and find a home with a list like this. So let's go through. We're running Ancient Preparations, helps both Taliyah's game plan, plus the Predict is amazing. Currently, I'm running 2 Dustbringer, 1 Sigil, because I wanted to try Sigil. Our only 2-drop in the list is Rockhopper, and I wanted something that you could do and still get Crescendum value. So I ran this as like a 1 of. If I'm being honest, though, this is likely going to get cut. So if I end up deciding to cut this by the time I publish this video, whatever deck code I post will likely reflect whether I'm still running it or not. But the consistency, I think, of having Duskbringer on 1 into Aphelios on 3 warrants running 3 of these. Plus, again, the Dusk Petal is just a great way to trigger your temples. So I go back and forth on these, but right now I'm running this as a 1 of, these as a 2 of. 3-Shaped Stone, because it's just an outstanding combat tool right now. +3/+1 is amazing for 1 mana, and it's very, very, very rare that you have not played a landmark in this list by the time you're using that combat trick. 3 Ancient Hourglass. So this is important for your combos, right? Taliyah and some of your other units. For example, if you invoke and you find the sisters, you can Hourglass the Lifesteal Sister and keep making more bonus elusive ones. But also I'm running 3 of this because late game, your win condition with this deck is basically either find a big celestial unit with star shaping, or your temples, because you're likely going to have 2 or 3 of them out, are going to make a vertical threat, right? So just a big unit that you're eventually going to use Aphelios to give Overwhelm to, or blah, blah, blah. So Hourglass is a great way to protect it. I'm also still running 1 copy of Bastion and 1 Rite of Negation right now. But Hourglass saves units and enables combos and counts towards leveling Taliyah. So this is a 3 of. Currently 3 Preservarium for refilling your hand. Sometimes, just so you know, your board will get clunky and it can be correct to overwrite this without getting the second draw. If your board gets filled up and you need to deny yourself a draw, it's not the end of the world. Rockhopper, early game drop, gives things vulnerable, helps with Taliyah. It's a summon effect, so you still get the Roiling Sands even if you get it with Crescendum, so it's a natural include. Aphelios is your value engine. He just basically sits in the back line and makes moon weapons forever. Still 2 Hush because there's a lot of decks that's useful for. Priestess because you want to basically find sisters or Comet. Those are like your big 2. But obviously there's a bunch of really good options that you can find. Again, 1 Bastion. This could be 2 Rite of Negation, and I would think that was also fine. I like the 1-in-1 split right now because this being unable to be stopped by other Rites of Negation or Deny or whatever is kind of nice. But considering we also have the 3 Ancient Hourglass, the flexibility of negation over Bastion is sometimes better. So this is I think a preference piece or a meta call, but currently 1-in-1 on these. The Fangs, this is how you recuperate most often against aggressive decks. Now Star Shaping is obviously in the list as well, but Fangs is just a nice lifesteal unit that if you get down early and you start stacking with a temple, or 3, it can get very big. Now, outside of Fangs, there's also Aphelios getting you Severum, so that's the thing. Temple. Temple's the entire point of this deck. Yes, it's a Aphelios list. Yes, it's a Taliyah list, but really this is all about just abusing Temple, because in the early rounds, if you get 2 of these down, like if you get 1 down and you copy it with Taliyah, going forward, so rounds like 6 through 8 or 9, you're basically like doubling your mana spent, doubling your opponent's mana, so you just catch up in terms of tempo. Star Shaping, this keeps you in the game as far as the healing goes. Sometimes it can save your vertical unit by healing them for a bunch, and then also it finds you win conditions, because turns out things like the Great Beyond and Immortal Fire close out games. And then the last unit is Taliyah, who can also get to be pretty nutty, whether it's through the Ancient Hourglass combo or just stacking her vertically, or honestly, just giving her Overwhelm from Aphelios means that she starts threatening a lot of damage as well. And that's the list. So if you're looking for something different, looking for an Aphelios list, because again, he fell out of favor because of his nerf, and you know, Twisted Fate wasn't nerfed, and then there was a bunch of new shiny toys. But if you like Aphelios and you're looking for a way to experience him, but adding, you know, some of the stuff from the new expansion, this is the list for you. And that's it. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may you walk on warm sands.